In between the release of Sonic 06 and Shadow the Hedgehog, Sega released a game called Sonic Riders in 2006. This game is a hoverboard racing game which features lots of action and hoverboards, of course, along with fast-paced gameplay. The only problem is, the gameplay utterly fails. So anyways, let's take a look at this game, shall we? The first thing you see when you start the game up is this cool anime cutscene. Sadly, it seems like a lot of the budget went toward this and not the actual gameplay. Then again, it's Sega after all, and they haven't made a good racing game since like Outrun 2 maybe. Well, there have been a few exceptions, but the arcades are dead, and sadly this means Sega has not made as many good racing games as they used to. Now on to the actual gameplay, of course, since everyone wants me to. The plot of it is still garbage, because, it's a Sonic game. This time, the plot is something about Eggman running some hoverboard racing competition, and he wants everyone to give a Chaos Emerald to enter, and the winner takes all, except here's the thing. The winner is actually them, some Babylonian rogues or some crap. This is also the first CGI cutscene I've ever seen in a Sonic game, where they actually talk with the middle of their mouths and not the sideways like in Sonic Heroes. The cutscenes are also high budget for the CGI too. I'm honestly wondering why they didn't just, make more cutscenes in CGI, unless their budget was still really tiny. It still does not excuse the lack of plot though. Sega has also finally learned how to make an in-engine cutscene that actually looks like a good cutscene. Maybe they actually had a higher budget and enough time to actually make them look like cutscenes. Why didn't they do that with their other Sonic games? I mean, come on, imagine if Sonic Adventure 1 had this cutscene instead of just Remember Sonic Adventure 1? Congratulations, Sega, you've actually managed to make a decent looking cutscene on outdated hardware. Congratulations. You win. It took about, 8 years to get that right, but hey, at least you did it. Better late than never, I guess. So anyways, on to the gameplay. The graphics are great in this game too, and so is the music. I mean, come on, you expected the music to be good, but the graphics are actually a surprise considering that most Sonic games on the PS2 run at an inconsistent frame rate about 5 FPS, for example Shadow the Hedgehog, but the only problem with the game is the gameplay. The gameplay is bad. The gameplay feels like there are a whole bunch of concepts, but they haven't been polished very much. For example, the stunt system. The stunt system is pretty good, but when you spin the stick, there's only so much you can do by spinning the stick. Then again, it's a racing game, but there are other problems too, such as the boost and pit stop system, which is an exact ripoff of that from F-Zero. Unlike F-Zero, instead of where you just go on the side of the track to regenerate, in this game, what happens is you end up getting it through doing tricks or collecting object boxes that replenish it. And if you run out, you'll have to walk until you can find a pit stop. Imagine having to play a racing game and in the middle having to stop for a pit stop. It's pretty bad. There are also certain power-ups you can collect that make you, say, run over enemies, for example. The gameplay wouldn't be so bad had the controls not been absolutely horrible. The controls pretty much break the entire game. So even if the gameplay is just okay, the controls make it even worse, as you'll be slip-sliding all around the place due to the controls of the game. You'll be bouncing and moving around for no reason, and when you try to do stuff, you'll just be like, why isn't this working? But what the heck, this isn't the worst part of the game. The level designs are pretty bad too. For later levels, the corners are hard to make, and there are lots of death pits too, which respawn you, so it's pretty hard, especially when you're trying to do the levels. The AI in the level is pretty stupid too, so you can always come in first when you know how to do it well, so it really isn't much of a challenge. Sure, you can unlock more courses, but why can't you have them all unlocked because of the multiplayer mode? The game also contains a multiplayer mode, and it actually supports the multi-tap for once, but if you have friends over, you might not want to play this game if you have a multi-tap, you'll probably have a lot better games you could be playing too. I mean, there are plenty of split-screen shooter games on the PS2, you could be playing one of those. Aside from the gameplay, the game does also have a few other minor technical issues and features we wish were implemented, such as there's no online multiplayer in any of the versions. I know it's one thing on the GameCube where none of the games had online, but the Xbox and PS2 had online and System Link. Why didn't you just put the multiplayer on those? The game might have been a lot more replayable then. There are also slight technical issues such as pop-in, and there's very slight slowdown. There's not very much slowdown, luckily, but there is a tiny amount. All in all, the game isn't that great. I mean, this game could have been a lot better, but sadly the poor controls killed it. Now, this game might have been good had they put lots of more polish onto the gameplay and not just the graphics, but sadly Sega thought the reason people were complaining about the older games is because of graphics or something. But either way, this is still a lot better than the sequel, and it's actually kind of worth a rent or borrow if you're a hardcore Sonic fan who wants a quick multiplayer game with Sonic in it. But let me just tell you, Sega did not learn. The sequel is even... A few years later, on the PS2 and the Wii, Sega made a game called Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. This was based on the same engine and reused many of the same assets from Sonic Riders, and it had better graphics, but it was worse in other ways. The plot was even cornier. Many of the features that should have been in the last one weren't even in there, and worst of all, the game has crappier gameplay. How bad could it possibly be this time? Well, let's find out. The plot this time is something about robots, something, I don't know, something meteorite, something guys from last game. I'm not even gonna try to calculate this time. Let's just get to the gameplay. The gameplay, like I said, is mostly based off that of the first one. The engine is reused, and so are many of the models and animations. There are some differences, however. For example, the gameplay has been changed. In other words, features have been removed. For example, the boost function's gone, you cannot go pit stop, the stunt feature's been neutered in case you couldn't ever pull off stunts in the first one, and there are other more frustrating additions or removals to this game. For example, grind rails. You have to have a certain air gear to grind on grind rails, unlike the other ones where you can just go and grind no matter which one you have, I think. So, all in all, you also have to unlock them, which is pretty annoying too. The gravity functions are also pretty annoying, especially when you get slowed down by the game thinking, oh, you can't go fast, you gotta do this, you have to slow down. Due to this, enemies can just pass you right up when you're trying to make a corner. I mean, the corners were better in the original Riders. I mean, even though the original Riders wasn't that great, this game makes the original Riders look like some old 90s driving game from Sega, back when Sega actually knew how to make good games. I'm serious, that's how bad Zero Gravity is. Even if you improve the music and the graphics, the gameplay is still horrible, so what's the point? There are also more random glitches than in the first one thanks to the gravity system. For example, here's how to die when using gravity. Boom. The meter just ran out right when I was up there. And that is just pathetic. All in all, don't buy this game because it's got so many glitches and crap, but one more thing, just to add insult to the injury. This stage is called 90s Boulevard. There's also a similar stage called 80s Boulevard. Both of them feature older Sega references throughout the stages, so this serves to remind you that you could be playing a better game right now. See, that says Knights? Oh, you could just take this game in right to your used game store, trade it in for Knights. See, I mean, you just see them and you're like, I could be playing a much better game right now. Why am I not playing, this garbage? Why am I playing this garbage? I could be playing better games. Oh look, Sonic and Knuckles right there, or Jet Set Radio, yeah, I could be playing one of those games instead of this. Ah! Oh look. Fantasy Zone, that game's probably much better than this game. What other games am I gonna see that I should go buy at GameStop tomorrow? Oh, Phantasy Star, yay, I could be playing Phantasy Star right now on my 360. Oh, is Sega Saturn back there? Why is this in the 80s Boulevard? And then again, is Sega just... Okay, if the Saturn was in the 80s, then... Oh, Game Gear didn't even come out in the 80s. What were these guys smoking? How'd they mess their times up? Just like the other Sonic games in the past, Zero Gravity fixes absolutely nothing either, so all the same problems from the first one are still there. Anyways, don't buy either. They're both garbage, and you will regret the money you spent on these games. All in all, just buy a better game. Anyways, thanks for watching, subscribe for more, and please buy better racing games. Support the companies that make better games and don't buy garbage like this. Please, just stop it.